dogs and puppies, they're very much overlooked in a lot of cases.
Yeah, and I think it's important to keep them on the pedestal now and then. We haven't talked about them for a while, and they are, I think, in a lot of ways, the unsung heroes of the farming system, especially traditional Kiwi farming systems that we have. So I think the underpinning of care still, even to this day, is pretty much bound by the importance of adequate nutrition and good parasite control.
So what do we feed them?
So I think in the old days we used to just be the old dog tuckers and that was it. But I think good sound commercial based nutrition, you can't go past it. I think if you are supplementing or you are basing a diet on the dog tucker type scenario on mutton, then it is important that adequate care is given to the preparation of that food. And so that means pretty much either rendering that meat protein and fat at high temperatures, so basically boiling it for a good sound sort of 30 minutes, 15 to 30 minutes, or freezing. That's going to deactivate tapeworm cysts. So frozen meat for 10 days is going to deactivate any tapeworm cysts. And I think a lot of viewers will probably remember the old days of the dog doses and the dog dosing strips.
Yep.
I think it was a very, very sound system, but I think unfortunately it tended to overemphasise the use of worming drugs over and above just good sound nutrition. So the reality is, if we're not feeding contaminated offal, or we're deactivating any tapeworm cysts in the feed that's given, then the cycle can't occur anyway. And so I think the basis of good parasite control in regards to hydatids, false hydatids, and sheep measles in particular, which is quite an important issue even to this day, is adequate preparation of homegrown food, or an easy way, and to ensure that you've got really good nutrition of your dogs, is actually sliding back into a commercially based diet ration rather than going with your homegrown.
Is it enough just to throw them a few dog biscuits, or do you need to have a varied diet?
Okay, so dog biscuits are fine, especially the good ones. It's a fully balanced diet these days. There's usually very, very good feeding recommendations, and there's working dog based formulas. So the energy requirements are all taken care of. It's easy, and really the value of a good working dog, it can't be understated. And so it's easy. It's easy care. You just buy the right ration and feed at the right rate that's documented, and that's it. So you don't need to supplement. You don't need to muck around with adding bits here and there, and it's that easy.
Now, puppies, they're a different story.
Yeah, puppies, so they do need different nutritional requirements. It's exceptionally easy to create a situation where the puppy's ratio of calcium to phosphorus in the diet is upset. And so too much calcium in the diet can be detrimental, especially to collie breeds. We end up with lots of developmental diseases. And not enough calcium when compared to phosphorus can also be a problem. So that results in problems with osteoporosis and weak bones. Again, using a commercial-based puppy food is easy, but it can be a trap if you're using homegrown food. If you're just using homegrown meat-based diet, it's exceptionally easy to upset the apple cart in regard to that ratio of calcium to phosphorus, which is so important in the skeletal development of the puppy.
So it's commercial stuff for puppies? Commercial
stuff for puppies, but bear in mind it will be a different formula than what you're using on your adult working dogs. So their nutritional requirements are very different, and I've just mentioned the calcium, the mineral balance needing to be a little bit different, but also energy density and protein levels are also going to be a lot higher than they are even in an adult, very, very active working dog.
How often should we worm them, as in adults, not puppies?
Okay, so as long as we've got the nutrition sorted out and we're pretty sure that we're not going to have a high risk of contamination, or we're making sure we've got good control of our animals and they're not getting into offal, we're controlling access of other dogs onto the property, then actually 3 or 4 times a year is going to be adequate. If you're at a high risk and you think that there are risks of other dogs coming in and messing on the property, or there is, risks of wandering stock, or you've got dog access to fallen stock, well then, perhaps you want to ramp that up to perhaps even as frequently as every 6 weeks, as the old dog control regime was. So it's dependent on the situation. There is, for sheep measles in particular, which I mentioned is still a big issue in regions, there is a blood test available, and so if you are getting high rates of sheep measles in through the works on your abattoir reports or on your freezing work reports, then if you're worried that your own control systems is possibly a little bit lax in the cause of the problem, it's very easy to test your dog. Simple blood test, and we can see if those animals have been the source of or contaminated with the appropriate parasite.
What about fleas?
Fleas, big problem. And this time of the year, I don't know why, it's been a really bad year, and I think it's because we've had a little bit of moisture now, and we've still got these quite lovely days, which is putting the humidity levels up, and humidity is what fleas love when it comes to development. And so we are getting quite a lot of flea problems at the moment. Again, really important to make sure you've got good hygienic kennelling. So that means, maybe give the old dog box a bit of a dung out now and then, and make sure that there is an adequate environment. And these days, some of the flea control products, they're really easy. There's one particular one I'm thinking of right now, which is given orally, lasts for 3 months. So it's really easy care and really, really safe and very easy. And I don't think there's much excuse not to have good flea control. But don't think it's not going to happen because you're farming in South Canterbury or Otago, and you're not farming up in the Waikato or the Auckland regions, because we still have major flea problems around the Canterbury region as well.
Nick, thank you very much indeed. Just a moment, we're going to be talking about a heifer sale held in Rangiora.